Hello, people. I am PAQ or PAC, and I had thought about doing some Riftbound content, and now this is my first video. And the reason why I want to make this video is because I've played, I've been testing some Nasus right before all the cards were released, and also after. And I found the deck to be very fun and very cool, mostly very cool. The ideas that are in it and how the deck plays. And I'm not actually doing the regional qualifier I'm going to in Barcelona. I'm not actually doing the main event. I'm just doing side events. So therefore, I'm willing to share this deck because otherwise I would probably try to see if I wanted to best of Nasus and then not share the deck. But as I'm not doing that, I just want people that are interested in Nasus to see what I at least come up with. I don't know if this is the best version of Nasus, of course, but it definitely has felt better than people are giving Nasus credit for online. So I created the deck when I saw Heron, because first of all, when me and my friends saw these cards, we were basically making fun of it because it seemed so bad, and then we realized that, oh, okay, it sees itself being played, so if you play it as the first card on your turn, you get a reduction on the next card. And then we also realized that, oh, it's on both turns. So if you play cards on the opponent's turn, then you also get a reduction there. And then that just seemed pretty inherently powerful in my eyes. But of course, it's still a 7/7 that does nothing. So, it's probably not tier 1, but it was at least better than I gave it credit for when I first saw it. So I was interested in trying to build a deck around this card. And of course, playing Nasus, we are always, when playing this card, untapping 2 mana, making it very accessible to play another card after the Heron. So, when constructing this deck, I thought that we would need I would basically try to make a deck that would try to just get into the battlefield, and when we had control of a battlefield, just slam the Heron down, hopefully without playing a card that turn, to then be able to play something reduced, and then also doing so on the opponent's turn, and then and then keep on going, like each turn getting something reduced. Something very powerful you can do with Heron is play Premonition. For 1 tuck, you're able to draw 3 cards, and that's pretty. I put in 1 in the beginning as like a sort of meme card because this card has never been playable, and I just was like, haha, that's kind of cute. And then playing it, it was like, okay, you're actually just tucking 1 mana in order to draw 3 cards, and that's very good. We also are in need of inevitability because we are going to be like 3 to 4 points behind when the deck comes online. So we will have to be able to take control of both battlefields and not let the opponent get in. And that's pretty difficult, and that is why we play this top end of 3 Herons. Of course, that is the main thing. 3 Watches in order to always be able to break in, and 2 Vilemaws in order to play them as a response to them going in, and helping a lot with the inevitability with us needing to hold both battlefields at the end. For early game and getting to the Heron, we are playing 9 2-drops, Poro, Scuttle Crab, and then we played like actual 2-drops in the beginning, but Hourglass is very good in the deck, and we're not a tempo deck, so I include those as the 2-drops. And for going second and turn 2, when going first, we have Card Sharp as well. And we're playing Nasus as the blue Nasus as our chosen champion, because the green one is just not what the deck is trying to do. And this is very much helping us on that like turn 7 or 8 mana, being able to just go in and sometimes not play any cards before just conquering that battlefield, and then being able to just play the Heron on top of it to try to stabilize. So the 6 might is very nice for a 5 mana unit, but the Tuck is really like hurting this deck, and that's why we're playing Plundering Poro and Card Shop in order to just being able to play Nasus on curve and hopefully not Tuck. Sometime, yeah, whether or not you should play Nasus or not on curve if you don't have a gold token depends on the context, in my experience. Another powerful thing that I forgot to say that we are able to do with Heron is play Sterak Gage for 1 mana. It helps, just like when they have done the math, go in, maybe have like they're prepared for discipline, but maybe not Sterak Gage. Also, one thing about this deck is that its power varies a lot with how well prepared your opponent are. In testing, when my opponents knew that they definitely should not let me come into a battlefield, because then the deck comes online, the dynamics and like the raw power of the deck definitely changed. Because if your opponent just lets you go into the battlefield, you are in that's essentially what this deck is trying to do, and therefore you are going to have an easier time. If the opponent knows that you have centered your deck around Heron, per se, like this is in the end the way that people are playing Nasus, for example, well, then they're probably going to make it pretty difficult for you. And I have looked the card pool through in order to find ways to get the Heron in, but without playing a card first, because we want the Heron to be the first card we play. And there's not a lot of that, but of course, we might just have to accept that Heron is not the first card that we play on our turn, but we are still able to get in and then play it and then get the reduction of 4 spells on every other turn from now. Very relevant for this deck, because we are not purple, so we're not able to play stack deck and so forth. So in order to actually base our strategy around the Heron, we will need to be able to find it, and we also very often want to play Heron on 7 or 8 mana, so we also need to do it quickly. And that the Stupefy's, Disciplines, and Scuttle Crabs helps a lot with, because they are cantrips. So as you play them in the early game, they will just stick through your deck. So Discipline and Stupefy are cards that in other contexts I will often not play them to cantrip them in certain matchups when I play different decks that has these cards, because they're just inherently so powerful that you, in some matchups at least, are going to hold them up. And here, my recommendation is, if you don't have Heron, and even if you do, if you don't have like other pieces that you want in your hand, cycle these cards early game. Like if the opponent goes in, if you go in with the Plundering, and they go into the other battlefield, cycle the Stupefy or Discipline that you held up, but only on their turn, of course, such that you can represent these threats if they're trying to go in on your creatures. Very, very important for this deck are the 6 hidden cards, because the thing about the Heron is that they can just go in and kill it. That becomes a lot more difficult if you have one of these 6 cards hidden. Back off is, stunning the creature, and maybe they went in with 2, maybe they went in with 1, but stunning the creature will usually result in you just winning the combat and they're being pushed back or just die. Of course, they can have tricks on their own, and therefore it's also very important that this deck runs 3 Defys, as it is in any green deck. Because the cheap interaction in order to protect the Heron is very important. Something very cool about this deck that's also like one of the things that fascinates me is like if you, let's say you go in with Nasus and you get the battlefield, you play your Heron on top of it, and you hide a Hourglass, and you are completely tapped out. Now, if the opponent just on their turn plays a Hidden Blade on your Heron, even though you're completely tapped out, you're able to flip the Hourglass, and then of course save the Heron. But if you don't want to use the Hourglass now, well, now you have played your first card on that turn, so therefore even though you're tapped out, you can just play the 5 from your hand for free, because it costs 1 mana and 2 mana and 2 tuck less. This is also why this deck is going to be a lot better if the opponent don't know what's going on and are not like prepared for how this Nasus build is, because you can like mana cheat things out all of a sudden. Also, what I have done is something like have a Heron out and 7 mana, and then they go in, I play Stupefy on something, and then I play Vilemaw from my hand with only 6 mana up because of the reduction. So this deck definitely is best when it's hidden, but I do feel like the deck is just it's just so cool that I have to share it, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. The typical curve for like games that I've experienced would be something like Scuttle Crab turn 1, Card Chap turn 2, maybe Stupefying on their turn, Nasus turn 3, maybe Stupefying on their turn, and then going into playing the game, hopefully getting Heron in a battlefield, which maybe just like going in with Nasus, hopefully he conquers, slam that Heron, start drawing a lot of cards with Premonition and protecting it with Sterak Gage. And of course, just Stupefy and Discipline as well. The list is really tight for me. It's hard to find cuts. Maybe the Gage could go, like one of the Gage, but it has proven its worth, I would say. It was not something I saw originally, but it was like recommended from a friend to this deck, and it like 1 mana plus 3 on reaction has like proven pretty good. But it's also another like almost unplayable card that if you don't have the Heron out, it's very difficult to cast this card, just like Premonition, which is also basically unplayable unless you have a Heron out. In my experience, playing the deck, going into battlefields early was something that I did less and less. Of course, with the Plundering Poro, I would do it pretty often. But with Scuttle Crab, going in, getting a point, sacking it, and Card Chap was not something I was interested in very often. Especially because, well, we need to conquer a battlefield on the Heron turn, where Card Chap is in some cases able to do that. But also stuff like just having a Scuttle Crab in base for a Vilemaw on a later turn is very nice to have that set up, and at that point probably not the singular point worth, because, well, in my experience it doesn't really matter if you are needing 7, 8, or 9 points. If you come to 7 points, you're probably going to win the game. Also, taking stuff like Stupefy, Discipline, and Scuttle Crab out of the deck, I would not recommend, because finding the Heron in this very like Heron focused version is basically essential to the deck functioning at all. Also, Back Off is able to cantrip if played from hand, and I have done that some some early turns where, well, of course, to make them not conquer if I had a creature out, but also just to cycle it if they maybe attacked the other battlefield. I played around with Unchecked Power, I think it's called. The 7 mana, 2 power spell that says exhaust all your friendly units to then deal 12 damage to all units on the battlefields. Because as the people I was testing against found out that I really could not have my Heron like just go in with Nasus and then play Heron on top of it, there was a no-go. Well, I thought if they then stack their battlefields such that I am not able to do so, I'm able to play Unchecked Power, and then maybe the next turn go in as I have replenished the resources, depleted the resources. But in the limited amount of testing that I did, that did not work out as intended. They would maybe often have like one creature in the base anyway, and like it would not be like a tremendous amount of value that I would get out from the card being played on like turn 3 or 4. And they would often have like a unit in the base, and then maybe something would accelerate from their hand in some sort of sense, to be able to double conquer on the next turn anyways, so I would not even slow them down. And the fact that it tucks, or it has 2 power, which I call tuck 2, if I have said that earlier in the video, I'm sorry. When I say tuck, I mean recycle a rune. But the fact that it sets you back to essentially the same amount of mana that you had the turn before is rough for the deck, as like any amount of mana over 7 is like still important. Of course, hitting 7 mana is like the most important thing, but anything over that just enables Stupefys and Disciplines and so on. The 2 Unchecked Power then got replaced with Bellows Breath for a few reasons. First of all, it's inherently just a card that's very, very good with Watcher. Like any Watcher deck, any deck that plays Watcher should automatically consider playing Bellows Breath, as the synergy between those 2 cards is just pretty disgusting. It also, repeated, is exactly 2 mana and 2 tucks, or 2 power, which is exactly the amount of mana that Heron reduces. So that's just like nice flow for the deck. And also in spots mid-game, it is able to, and with mid-game I mean like turn 3 and 4, it is able to be played and just maybe if they have like 2 units in their base and 1 at a battlefield, and you're able to clean the units in their base, well, in cases and in matchups, that would make them score points in a slower rate than if you didn't, and then that might be the thing that you're supposed to do. But I have done very limited testing with Bellows Breath, and I'm not entirely sure that that card would actually need to be in the deck. It just makes a lot of sense to me that it should be. I think that is mostly the main deck. The main deck is also what has been curated the most. And of course, I don't think I talked a lot about Defy, but basically it's essential to keep the Heron alive. And also just is a free of in any green deck. This is basically the deck and how it has been tuned. It has a very, a one-dimensional game plan, and is disruptible in several ways, obviously. But I think if this deck is not like known for a lot of players, that I would put my money on, not a lot of it, but some of my money I would put on a deck like this being the best of Nasus deck if it is being played by a good player. But I'm not entirely sure as in matchups as against the Seer. Of course, as this is a best of metal hunting deck, and definitely not like something where you're going to try to make day 2. It of course is okay to have a bad matchup against the Seer. But a game I played where my opponent went second. Yes, they went second, so I started, and his first turn was just pass. They didn't play anything on their first turn going second, and I still lost that game. And I felt like my deck did what it should do in that in that game. So I was kind of baffled about losing that game, but just like the free of Call the Weak and the free of Headblade was just too much to handle for this deck. As if Scuttle Crab and something like Poro is not down, like I remember in that game, Call the Weak killing the Nasus and stuff like that. I have to say that I also, on the first and second turn, was only just recycling cards. So it was a kind of crazy game now I think about it. Maybe I played one drop. I don't quite remember how, but I remember that when I played Nasus, called the Weak to kill the Nasus, which was really problematic. So definitely test this deck on your own before and see how it feels. Maybe there's something that definitely is something that needs to be treated. And after thinking about it, something like not so fast because of like cards like Hidden Blades being such a problem for the deck, and of course Star Crust and stuff like that is also an essential problem for the deck. Well, Defy of course helps a lot, but if you don't have it up, or just like haven't drawn it or have already used one, more answers to that kind of stuff could definitely be useful for the deck. So I would, if you want to play this deck, I would really try to consider how to find space for a not so fast 1, 2, or 3 main board or sideboard, because like maybe something like 1 main, 1 side, I would be my gut reaction to what would be fitting for the deck. So, and also when siding, I do this a lot in different decks, but in this one in particular as well, because the deck list is so tight and you need a lot of pieces, and they're so general applicable. When siding, definitely think about your curve. So when going second, side out Plundering Poro, and when going first, maybe side out Card Shout. But Card Shout is also, or going second, play on the play, or turn 2 play on the play. But at least side out Plundering when not going first. That card is only in the deck for exactly turn 1 going first. If it's your play going second, it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely not good. There is also a world where we are just getting rid of the Poro entirely, and I don't know what else you would put in. It seems like the best 2-drop for the deck if you're planning to play Nasus on curve. But maybe just accepting that we are losing a 2-drop is what is best for the deck. I just have a hard time seeing it, as it helps a lot with like just having units in the base helps a lot with getting the first Heron down, and also when you have that Heron down, being able to rotate into the other battlefield with something like a Vilemaw. Having units in the base is very nice for that. So, about the battlefields, as you can see, I have not tested this deck in the last 2 days, or the last day actually, because I have still Aspirant Climb in this deck, and I have not found what I want to, because the card has just been banned, and I don't know yet what I want to replace it with. But the Starspring and Papertree seem at least pretty good / fine in my experience. The Starcross is very nice for like when you get control of one battlefield with Heron and maybe Nasus or something like that, more quickly being able to rotate to the other battlefields in order to get control of the game in a quicker manner. You definitely could also play the thing that says when you hold here, move a unit back or something like that. I don't quite remember it, like the amateur theater or something, where you're basically the second Starspring. And maybe if it's really the right thing for the deck, you could also play the one with ganking. That might actually be a good idea now that I'm thinking about it. But you can test it out if you want to. At least it has worked for me, being able to rotate the big guys to the other battlefield in order to quicker get control of it. Papertree is, the deck really wants mana, and it's kind of gimmicky, and it doesn't quite work as I want to, because when you get that mana, it's actually, kind of late. The plan I have with it right now is actually playing it as my going first battlefield, with the idea of playing something like a Plundering Poro on turn 1. Well, not something like, but playing exactly Plundering Poro on turn 1. Maybe Scuttle Crab would also work. But let's just say we got the Plundering Poro on turn 1. Then they play their free drop. You go into that battlefield. Maybe you hold 2 mana up. Maybe you hold 1 mana up. And if they are like don't want to deal with your Stupefy / Discipline / whatever else you could have, they might go into. So when you conquered with the Poro, you took their battlefield, and then they go into your Papertree, and then it becomes your turn. Then it becomes their turn, and they hold on the Papertree on their third turn, resulting in you being the one that gets the mana first. Okay, my video just stopped, but I'm back now. Basically, Astronaut's Climb was good, as we are having a late game strategy and want the game to go on as long as possible, basically. But you would of course need to find another battlefield for Climb and also Papertree, and you could maybe start with like the 2 battlefields that either give ganking or effectively ganking. I would start there, and after that maybe look for what could be good. I also tried Forbidding Wastes, as it gives the defender -2 if it is there alone, in order for on the 7 or 8 mana turn where we want to conquer without playing a card and then play Heron on top of it. That turn might become easier because of that, but it's felt like they would just put 2 units there basically, and then it would also bite us in the ass later when we have like a Poro and a Heron on top of the battlefield, and they would go in, kill the Poro, and then after that we would just have -2 on the Heron. So I don't think that is the right way to go, but maybe. As for the sideboard, I just jammed in some cards. Sideboards, I think, are very meta dependent, of course. The decrease seems insane in my eyes. If you are struggling with a red matchup, I think the green decree is going to be very, very good, and as well for the blue decree, as they're just inherently so powerful that it's they will often function as a 1 mana punch first that has reaction and does not chuck 2 or does not have 2 power, which is the only downside of punch first. So in those matchups, but I have heard arguments about them being too one-dimensional, but I think that the inherent power of them is just giving you enough of an edge to at least I'm very willing to put these in my deck. And of course, when I understand the meta better, I can put the third in or put only one in, or maybe zero, depending on what matchups I have difficulties in. And I'm even very willing to main board some amount of decrease if like purple is just like 8 decks general mirror, general nightmare, which is not very relevant for this deck. I don't think it is. But anyway, Singularity is also kind of cute as you can play for 4 mana, but only on your turn. So it also basically assumes that your Heron, that you get to untap with your Heron. Either that or you play it with 11 mana, which is also a possibility, but also not very likely. So I definitely think it should be in the sideboard. I would assume it should be in the sideboard, but it would not surprise me if it gets pushed out. Maybe a bit more now that we have 10 cards in the sideboard, so now there's definitely more space for it. The third Bellows Breath I just put in as in some matchups it's going to be very good. Rake, it's a sideboard card, I just put it in. So that's basically everything I have to say about this Nasus deck. It has been very fun to construct as I explored the idea of Astral Heron and got pleasantly surprised about how good that card actually is, and how good like the Premonition is, especially, and just how fun it is to like double spell each turn and getting these reduction on your cards, and like kind of like the face on your opponent when you say you tuck one in order to draw 3 cards on reaction speed. It's a really fun deck to play. But yeah, of course, it's definitely not tier 1, and depending on the meta, probably not tier 2. It's around that CT I would expect, where it's able to duke it out with some like with the broader fields, which there of course is to regional qualifiers, as metal hunting is such a big expected value thing to do. So I think definitely this deck has some bite in it, or what should I call it? And at least I wanted to share it with the world, or the few people that are going to watch this video, and definitely also get comments. I would really enjoy to hear your guys' thoughts, especially if you have played the deck yourself. I'm not necessarily very interested in it if you have not played the deck, but if you have, I'm very interested to hear about what you found out or experienced when playing the deck. And also, yeah, you can just maybe find me on Discord. I'm in different Riftbound communities, and I'm just PAQ, and you can just message me, and I would like to hear that. So basically, thank you for watching my first video, and I hope that you either enjoyed just hearing me yap about this Nasus deck, and maybe are even going to play the deck and try it out for yourself. Yeah, bye bye. See you in another video maybe.